A princess? You are a princess? He asked repeatedly. Adaku nodded. Yes, and I did not tell you because I wanted to see if you would still love me without knowing my status. The village of Umuawulu was one of the richest in the land. Its markets were always full of traders. Its fields were green and fertile, and its people were proud. In the middle of the village stood a grand palace, home to King Eze and his daughter, Princess Adaku. Adaku was known all over the village, not just because she was the princess, but also because she was large in size. Many people admired her for her kind heart, but some could not help or whisper behind her back. She's so big, they would murmur, who would want to marry her if she wasn't the princess? Both men and women would gossip. Adaku often heard these whispers, and even though people always spoke kindly to her face, she knew what they truly thought. This made her feel very sad. She wanted someone to love her for who she was, not because of her title or her father's wealth. One evening, after a day filled with fake smiles and hidden insults, Adaku sat in her room, her heart heavy with worry. She called for her maid, Amara, her only true friend in the palace. Amara, she whispered, I don't think anyone will ever love me for me. I'm afraid they only see the princess, not Adaku. Amara, a kind and gentle maiden, sat beside her. My princess, she said softly, I know you are more than just your title, but the world is often blind to true beauty. What do you want to do? She asked, concerned. Adaku sighed deeply. I want to find someone who loves me for me, she said. Someone who doesn't care about my title or my family's wealth. I think I need to leave this place and go where no one knows I am a princess. Amarachi's eyes widened. Leave the palace? She asked, surprised. Yes, Adaku replied, her voice filled with determination. I will go to another village and live as a common person. I will find out if there is anyone who can love me without knowing who I truly am. After a moment of silence, Amara nodded. If this is what will make you happy, then I will help you, she promised. But you must be careful, my princess. The world outside the palace is not always kind, she advised. Adaku smiled. I am ready, Amara. I am ready to find my true self, she said confidently. But how do you intend to do this? What will you tell the king and the queen? And where will you tell them you are going? Amara asked. I will tell them the truth. I know they will understand, even though they will be worried, Adaku said. 2 days later, dressed in simple clothes like those of a village girl, Adaku left her home. She carried a small bag with only a few things, a change of clothes, some coins, and a small piece of jewelry for emergencies. Amara gave her a final hug at the edge of the village. Remember, you are now Ada, just a girl from another village, Amara whispered. Be careful, and may you find what you are looking for, she prayed. Adaku nodded, her heart pounding with excitement and fear. Thank you, Amara, she said. I will never forget your kindness. Adaku walked for many hours until she reached a small village called Nsu. It was smaller than Umuawulu, with humble huts and simple people. As she entered the village, she saw an old woman sitting by the side of the road selling yams. The woman looked up and smiled. My child, the old woman greeted. You look like you have traveled far. What brings you to Nsu? Adaku smiled back. I am looking for a place to stay. I have no family here, she replied. The old woman nodded thoughtfully. I am Mama Nneka, she said. I live alone. If you do not mind sharing a small hut with an old woman, you are welcome to stay with me, Mama Nneka said kindly. Adaku's face brightened. Thank you, Mama Nneka. I will be very grateful. Thank you. And so, Adaku began her new life in Nsu. Every day, she helped Mama Nneka in her small farm, fetched water from the stream, and did her best to fit in. She wore plain clothes, tied her hair back, and tried to keep her head down, though it was difficult adjusting to life as an ordinary maiden. As she had everything done for her back at the palace, she still did her best to keep up, knowing how important her mission was. But not everyone in Nsu was welcoming. The village girls who prided themselves on their beauty soon noticed the new girl. They whispered and giggled behind her backs, calling her the fat girl and mocking her her for her looks. One afternoon, as Adaku was fetching water at the village stream, a group of girls passed by. One of them, Onyinye, a tall girl with sharp eyes, stared at her. "Look at you," Onyinye laughed. "Why do you bother coming to the stream? Do you want to drink it all dry up with your size?" she teased. The other girls laughed loudly, and Adaku felt tears pricked her eyes. She turned away, trying not to let them see her pain. Later that evening, Mama Nneka noticed her swollen eyes. "What is it, my child?" she asked gently. Adaku shook her head. "Nothing, Mama," she replied, but her voice trembled. Mama Nneka sat beside her and patted her hand. "Do not let their words trouble you, Ada," she said softly. "People can be cruel when they do not understand. You have a good heart, and that is all that matters," she advised. Adaku nodded, wiping her tears away. "Thank you, Mama. I will be strong," she whispered. The following morning, like every other maiden of her age, Adaku woke up early, long before the first light of dawn. The air was still cool and quiet. She could hear the distant crowing of the cock and the gentle rustling of leaves outside. She stretched, feeling the stiffness in her muscles from the hard work of the previous day. Life in Nsu was different from the palace, tougher, more demanding, but she was determined to embrace it fully. Mama Nneka was already awake, humming softly as she swept the compound with a broom made from palm fronds. Adaku joined her, picking up a second broom. "Good morning, Mama," Adaku greeted, her voice still sleepy. Mama Nneka smiled. "Good morning, my child. Did you sleep well?" Adaku nodded. "Yes, Mama. I'm getting used to the sounds of the village," she said. "That is good," Mama Nneka replied. "You must be strong, Adaku. Life in this village is not easy, but it has its own beauty," she said. After sweeping, they headed to the stream to fetch water. The path was narrow, winding through tall grasses and small bushes. Adaku carried a large clay pot on her head, steadying it with one hand. Her arms ached and her legs felt heavy, but she kept going. When they reached the stream, several women and children were already there, chatting and laughing. Adaku felt a little nervous, but she smiled and greeted them. Some returned her greeting with kind smile, while others whispered and looked away. Adaku tried not to let it bother her. As they filled their pots with water, Mama Nneka spoke softly. "You see, my child, every day here is a new chance to prove yourself. You will see kindness, but also jealousy and suspicion. But be patient and show them your heart." Adaku nodded. Though life in Nsu was simple, the villagers still had their own issues, like the prince being forced to marry a princess from a neighboring village, who, even though not yet married to him, go about acting arrogantly and carrying herself like Queen of Sheba, down to Onyinye and her group of friends, who go about looking for the prince's attention and bullying anyone whom they feel is a competition to them or whose status is below them, as she was the daughter of the village prime minister, popularly called the Onowu. Onyinye made sure to mock Adaku at every given opportunity. She and her friends often whispered loudly whenever Adaku passes by. "Look at her," Onyinye sneered one day at the market when she saw Adaku helping Mama Nneka to sell her wares. "She eats more than she sells," she said loudly to the hearing of everyone. The other girls laughed, and Adaku felt a wave of shame wash over her. Her hands trembled, but she did not let the tears fall. Instead, she turned to Onyinye and said softly, "I may not be beautiful as you, but I am proud of who I am." Onyinye laughed even louder. "Proud of what? Your big body?" Adaku felt the sting of the words, but she stood her ground. "Yes, Onyinye, I am proud of my strength and my heart." The other villagers watched, some nodding in silent approval, others shaking their heads. Adaku realized that not everyone would accept her, but she knew she had to stay true to herself. Meanwhile, somewhere at the palace of Nsu, Prince Ifeanyi was growing frustrated. He felt he couldn't spend the rest of his life with a woman as arrogant as Adaeze, as he was a very simple man by nature. He has been looking for the best opportunity to present his feelings to his parents, and he thought doing it right away would be the best for everyone. "Father, I do not want to marry Adaeze Adaeze, Ifeanyi confessed to his father, the king, one evening. She is not kind. She thinks too highly of herself and does not respect others. The king frowned. But son, this marriage will strengthen our ties with our family. It is a good match, he said. Ifeanyi shook his head. A good match should be based on love and respect, not just politics, he argued. I want to find a woman who truly cares for me, not for my title. The king sighed. Then you must find her soon, he said, or you will have to go through with the marriage. That night, Ifeanyi thought deeply. There must be someone out there who loves me for who I am, he said to himself. I will find her no matter what it takes, he said loudly. As the days turned into weeks, Adaku found herself feeling both stronger and weaker. Stronger in her resolve, but weaker in her spirit. The constant mockery from Onyinye and her friends wore her down, and she often felt lonely. Determined to prove herself, Adaku decided to learn new skills to keep herself more busy. She spent hours with Papa Ebuka learning to fish. At first, she struggled to throw the net properly, but Papa Ebuka was patient. You are doing fine, Ada, he encouraged her. It takes time, but you are a strong woman and you will get it. Adaku smiled, feeling a sense of pride. She also joined the older women in weaving baskets. They laughed at her clumsy attempt at first, but soon she got hang of it. The patterns were intricate, and she found joy in creating something with her own hands. As the quarterly moon festival drew closer, the village was filled with excitement. The maidens prepared their finest clothes and practiced their dances. Adaku watched from a distance, knowing they would not let her join. Mama Nneka noticed her longing look. Do not worry, my child. You may not be part of their dance, but you are part of this village. You belong here, she said. Adaku smiled, feeling comforted by Mama Nneka's words. She decided to help with the preparations in other ways, cooking, fetching water, and decorating the village square. On the day of the festival, Adaku dressed simply, wearing a plain blue dress. She stayed at the back, watching the maidens dance. They were graceful and beautiful, but Adaku felt a quiet strength within her. She knew she was more than what they know on the outside. As she watched, Adaku noticed a young girl sitting alone, looking nervous. Why don't you join them? She asked softly. The girl, Chioma by name, looked up, surprised. I am too shy. They will laugh at me, she said. Adaku nodded. They laugh at me too, but it does not mean we should hide. Let us sit here together and enjoy the music, she said. Chioma smiled, her eyes brightening. Thank you. You are very kind. They sat and watched the festival together, sharing moments of laughter and joy as though they have known each other for ages. Just then, a murmur spread through the crowd. Prince Ifeanyi had arrived, dressed simply, trying not to draw attention to himself, but yet the crowd went uproar the moment he set his foot in the festival arena. The maiden began to adjust themselves, hoping to catch his attention. Those performing put in their best, moving their waists smoothly to the melodious sound of the music coming from the drums and the flutes. Onyinye took the extra step by coming to the prince and said, "You didn't let us know you will be attending the festival. If not, I would have prepared a special spot for you, my prince," she said, trying to sound righteous. Anyways, it's still not late. I can quickly arrange somewhere for you so you can be comfortable enough to enjoy the rest of the festival, she went further, still trying to display the character of a good person. The prince, who already knows the kind of person she is, declined her offer. Don't worry, Onyinye, I can find myself a place. I'm not a baby who needs care and direction, he said, and walked away. This made Onyinye more angry than ever. She growled out in disappointment and left with her group of friends, or escorts should I say, as all their tactics seemed not to have a single effect on the prince. The prince moved away casually, looking through the crowds and looking for nothing in particular. He scanned the crowd over and over again until his eyes fell on Adaku, sitting quietly with Chioma. She seemed calm, her face lit with gentle smile. He felt an inexplicable pull towards her. He walked over over and sat beside her, catching her by surprise. "May I join you?" he asked, his voice soft. Adaku looked up, startled, but then smiled. "Of course, but why would a prince sit with someone like me?" she said. Prince Ifeanyi smiled. "Because I'm looking for someone special, and I think I have found her," he said jokingly. The festival continued with music filling the air and people dancing joyously. Adaku felt a mix of emotions as she sat beside the prince. She couldn't quite believe that he had chose to sit with her. She noticed his kind eyes, and there was something sincere about his smile. "You seem different from the other maidens," Prince Ifeanyi said, observing her closely. Adaku laughed softly. "I think that is because I am not as beautiful as they are." The prince shook his head. "Beauty is not just in the face or body, but in the heart. I see strength in your eyes, and that is what caught my attention." Adaku felt her cheeks warm at his words. She wasn't used to such compliments. "Thank you, Your Highness, but I am just a simple village girl trying to find her place." Prince Ifeanyi leaned closer, speaking in a low tone. "And I am just a man trying to find someone who truly sees me," he said. Adaku's heart fluttered. For the first time, she felt that someone understood her beyond her appearance or status. "Would you like to walk with me?" Prince Ifeanyi asked, extending his hand. Adaku hesitated, but then she nodded, placing her hands in his. They rose and began to walk through the village square, away from the prying eyes of the crowd. She noticed Onyinye and her friends whispering and glaring at her, but she tried to ignore them. As they walk, they talk about many things, their hopes, their dreams, and the burdens they carried. Prince Ifeanyi spoke about his responsibilities as the future king and the pressure to marry the woman chosen for him. "But my heart does not accept her," he confessed. "She is proud and cruel, not the kind of woman I want to spend my life with." Adaku listened, feeling a deep connection with him. She shared her own fears about not being loved for who she was. The prince nodded. "We all wear masks, trying to hide our true selves. But when we find someone who sees through the mask, that is when we find true love." Adaku smiled, feeling comforted by his words. But for the first time in a long while, she felt seen and understood. Meanwhile, Onyinye and her friends were watching from a distance, their faces filled with jealousy and anger. "Why is the prince talking to her?" Onyinye spat with a disgusted face. "She does not belong with him. We must do something to show her her true place," she said mischievously. Her friends nodded in agreement. "Yes, we cannot let her steal our chance. We have to make sure she leaves this village." They huddled together, whispering and plotting, determined to find a way to humiliate Adaku and drive her away. The next day, as Adaku went to fetch water from the stream, she noticed Onyinye and her friends blocking the path. They had mischievous smile on their faces. "Where do you think you are going, big girl?" Onyinye mocked. Adaku tried to remain calm. "I am going to fetch water, Onyinye. Please, let me pass." Onyinye laughed. "Not so fast. We want to see if you are strong enough to carry 2 pots today, since you are so big," she teased. Adaku hesitated, but did not want to show fear. "If that is what you want, I will carry 2 pots," she said, not wanting to give in to their unending bullying. The girls laughed out loud. "Oh, no, we have a better idea. Why don't you race us back to the village with the pot on your head? If you win, we will leave you alone, but if you lose, you must leave our village." Onyinye went further. Adaku felt her heart sink. She knew they were trying to humiliate her, but she also knew she had to stand up for herself. "I accept," she said firmly, lifting 2 heavy pots onto her head. The race began, and Adaku struggled to balance the pots as she ran. Onyinye and her friends laughed as they dashed ahead, but Adaku kept going, her legs burning and her heart pounding. She could hear the other villagers watching and whispering, but she focused on her goal. Mama Neka stood at the edge of the crowd, her hands clasped in prayer. "Come on, my child," she whispered. "You can do it." Adaku pushed herself harder, her determination growing with every step. She could feel the weight of the pots pressing down on her, but she refused to give up. As they neared the village, Onyinye stumbled and fell, dropping her pot and spilling water everywhere. Adaku seized the moment, pushing ahead with all her strength. She crossed the finish line, panting and exhausted. exhausted but victorious. The crowd cheered and Mama Nneka rushed forward to embrace her. "You did it, my child. You showed them your strength," she said. Onyinye stood up, glaring at Adaku. "This is not over," she hissed. "We will make sure you leave this village no matter what it takes," she said and walked away. Adaku smiled, her confidence renewed. "I am not afraid of you, Onyinye. I belong here just as much as you do," she said. The days passed and Prince Ifeanyi continued to visit Adaku. They often met in secret places, away from the prying eyes of the villagers. They would sit by the river or walk in the forest, sharing their thoughts and dreams. One day, as they sat by the river, Prince Ifeanyi took her hands. "Adaku, I feel something for you that I have never felt for anyone else. You are kind, strong, and true. I find myself thinking of you all the time." Adaku blushed. "But your highness, I'm just a simple village girl. How can you feel this way about me?" Prince Ifeanyi smiled. "It is because you are simple and honest that I am drawn to you. You see me for who I am, not for my title. I wish to know more of your heart, Adaku." Adaku felt tears in her eyes. "And I wish to know more of yours, my prince. But there is something you must know about me." Before she could finish, there was a loud noise from the village. The sound of drums filled the air and the people began to gather in the village square. "What is happening?" Adaku asked. Prince Ifeanyi looked concerned. "I think it is my betrothed. She has come to demand an answer from my family. I must go and see what is happening." He squeezed Adaku's hand. "I will find you later, I promise," he said as she dashed off. Adaku watched him go, her heart filled with both hope and fear. She knew she had to tell him the truth soon, but she feared what would happen when he learned her true identity. Back in the village, the scene was chaotic. The prince's betrothed Adaeze was standing in the center of the square, her face flushed with anger. "I demand to see Prince Ifeanyi," she shouted. "He has been avoiding me, and I will not be disrespected in this manner." The prince arrived, his expression calm but firm. "Adaeze, this is not the time or the place for such a display. We will talk in private." Adaeze glared at him. "No, we will speak right here, in front of everyone. Why have you not accepted my hand in marriage?" The prince sighed. "Because, Adaeze, I do not love you. I cannot marry someone who does not have my heart." Adaeze's eyes blazed with fury. "And who has your heart then? That fat girl you have been seen with? How dare you choose her over me?" The villagers gasped, and Adaku felt her face burn with embarrassment. She wanted to run and hide, but she stood her ground. Prince Ifeanyi's voice was steady. "Adaeze, do not speak of her in that manner. She is a good and kind person, something you do not seem to understand, something you can never be, not in this life and not even in world to come." Adaeze laughed mockingly. "A good person? She is a nobody, and you will throw away a union between our kingdom for her?" The prince nodded. "Yes, I would, because I believe in love and respect, not just alliance and titles." Adaeze turned and stormed away, furious and humiliated. The villagers watched in silence, wondering what would happen next. Later that evening, Adaku sat alone by the river, her heart heavy with worry. She knew the prince's words had been bold, but she also knew the cost could be high. Prince Ifeanyi found her there, his face filled with concern. "Adaku, are you all right?" She nodded, though tears brimmed in her eyes. "I am fine, but I fear what may come next. Your betrothed is powerful, and I am just, the prince interrupted her gently. "You are more than enough, Adaku, and that is all that matters," he said. The bond between Adaku and Prince Ifeanyi grew stronger. They continued meeting in secrets, sharing their hopes and fears. Adaku, still hadn't revealed her true identity, decided to wait for the right moment. She was afraid of how he might react, but she trusted that their love would be enough to overcome any obstacle. One evening, as they sat under the shade of a large tree by the river, Prince Ifeanyi took Adaku's hands. "Adaku," he began, "I have decided to take a bold step. I want to marry you. I will not wait wait any longer. Adaku's heart skipped. Marry me? Are you sure, Your Highness? What about your family? The prince smiled gently. I've already spoken to my parents. They are not pleased, but they know I have made my choice. They will come around in time. Adaku nodded, hiding her anxiety. And how will you introduce me to your people? I will present you as the woman I love, the prince replied confidently. That is all they need to know. Adaku smiled, touched by his resolve. Deep down inside, she felt a mix of excitement and fear. She wanted him to love her, not for her status, but for who she truly was. And here it is, her dream coming true. Meanwhile, Prince Ifeanyi said, interrupting her thoughts, I want you to prepare. I will be taking you to meet my parents at the palace tomorrow, after which we shall make the journey to your village, where I will officially ask for your hand in marriage. I already told my parents about you. After making it clear I wouldn't be marrying Adeze, Adaku was caught off guard hearing this. But my prince, do you think it's a good idea? I don't think I'm ready to meet them yet, she said with a sad face. I don't even have any good clothes to wear, and I fear they won't accept me, she worried further. But the prince assured her that it will go well and she shouldn't worry about what she will wear because he already made provision for them. Adaku, though relieved a bit, still had signs of worry written all over her, but she didn't want to press further. The next day, the sun set down in the evening, carrying a gentle breeze across the village. Adaku arrived at the palace, panicking. She seemed to have forgotten all the reassuring words of Mama Nneka before she left home. Prince Ifeanyi welcomed her and held her hand to reassure her, but his kind gesture had little or no effect at all, but she still had to try to pull herself together. They waited at the palace for the arrival of the king and queen, a wait that seemed like eternity, even though it had barely been 5 minutes. When they finally arrived, the king walked straight to his throne, but the queen remained standing. She looked at Adaku, who was almost shaking, a look that conveyed thousands of messages, even though she was yet to speak. Ifeanyi, what is the meaning of this? She asked, shifting her gaze away from Adaku towards her son. But before she could say anything further, Prince Ifeanyi interrupted her. Mother, please, we already talked about this. Let's not start over again, please, he said. No, let me talk, she fired back. Is this what you left the graceful Princess Adeze for? You don't even have... Before she could say any more nonsense, the king signaled her to shut up and sit down. Though angry, she knew better than to disobey the king. Our son will become the king of this land someday, and it's okay if he learns early enough to make his own decisions rather than being influenced by others. Moreover, his reasons are valid enough, and it doesn't matter who he decides to choose as a wife as long as they care for each other, the king said. This made the queen so angry that she growled even louder, but she said nothing more. She was quiet throughout Adaku's time at the palace and would occasionally throw a displeased glance at her, but it seemed no one cared about what she thought except Adaku, who was a bit worried. After the dinner and the proper introduction, Prince Ifeanyi left with Adaku. It seems your mother does not like me, she said the moment they stepped out of the palace. It doesn't matter what she thinks. I am all that matters, he responded. But still, it would have been so nice if she liked and accepted me. After all, I'm going to be her daughter-in-law, and our path will be intertwined forever, she said sadly. Prince Ifeanyi did all he could to assure her of her safety and protection against any opposition, and she couldn't help but admire him even more. The day of their journey arrived. Prince Ifeanyi, along with his parents, a few elders and a small group of attendants, prepared to set off to the village of the mysterious maiden who had captured his heart. His parents were still apprehensive about the match, but they respected his decision. Adaku met them at the edge of the village, dressed in a simple clothes, still posing as a commoner. Her grandmother, Mama Nneka, came to see her off with tears of joy in her eyes. She hugged Adaku tightly. Go, my child, go and find the happiness you deserve. Remember, you are strong and you are loved, she said. Adaku smiled through her her tears. Thank you, Mama Nneka. I will never forget your kindness. Prince Ifeanyi watched the touching scene, feeling more determined than ever. He took Adaku's hand. Are you ready? Adaku nodded. Yes, Your Highness, I am ready. They began their journey, walking through winding paths and lush green fields, with Adaku leading the way. She kept silence for most of the journey, her mind racing with thoughts of what was to come. The prince's family and attendants followed, curious about the village they were headed to. As they approached the outskirts of Adaku's village, they noticed a change in the surrounding. The simple huts and farms began to give way to more impressive structures, large, beautifully crafted houses and well-kept gardens. The road widened and became smoother, lined with flowers and colorful decorations. The group could hear the faint sound of drumming in the distance, growing louder as they moved closer. The prince's father, King Eze, looked around in surprise. This is not what I expected, he muttered under his breath. Where is this place? Adaku smiled but said nothing. They continued forward until they reached a large clearing. The scene before them took everyone's breath away. Hundreds of people were gathered, dressed in their finest attire. Brightly colored banners flew in the winds, and the scent of rich spice food filled the air. A grand fancy throne stood in the center, surrounded by sea of flowers. Drummers and dancers performed joyously, and a large band played festive music. It was a scene of opulence and celebration like none they had ever seen. Prince Ifeanyi and his party stopped, bewildered. The prince turned to Adaku. What is happening here? Is there some sort of festival? Adaku smiled softly, her eyes twinkling. No, my prince, this is our wedding celebration. The prince's mother, Queen Amara, gasped. Wedding celebration? But how? Before anyone could say more, a man in royal robes stepped forward, his face beaming with pride. It was Adaku's father, King Obinna, the ruler of the wealthiest kingdom in the region. Welcome, he announced, his voice booming with joy. Welcome, Prince Ifeanyi, son of King Eze. We have been eagerly awaiting your arrival, he said proudly. Prince Ifeanyi turned to Adaku, his eyes wide with shock. Adaku, who are you? He asked, bewildered. Adaku took a deep breath, stepping forward. I am Princess Adaku, daughter of King Eze. I came to your village disguised as a commoner to find a man who would love me for who I am, not for my title or wealth, she said. The prince's parents stared in astonishment, while the attendant murmured among themselves. Prince Ifeanyi was speechless. A princess? You are a princess? He asked repeatedly. Adaku nodded. Yes, and I did not tell you because I wanted to see if you would still love me without knowing my status. The prince took a moment to process everything. Then a slow smile spread across his face. I love you, Adaku. Princess or commoner, it does not matter to me. I only care that you are the woman I wish to spend my life with, he said sweetly. Adaku felt tears of relief filled her eyes. And I love you too, Prince Ifeanyi. King Obinna stepped forward, his arms open. Let this be a day of celebration and unity between our kingdom. Let us honor this love that has defied all odds. The crowd cheered and the drummers played louder. The prince's parents, still in shock, began to smile. Queen Amara nodded approvingly. I suppose we have gained a daughter today, she said, squeezing her husband's hand. King Eze chuckled, and a quite powerful one at that, he said as they smiled. The wedding ceremony commenced in grand style. The elders of both kingdoms exchanged words of peace and unity, and the families blessed the couple. The people sang songs of love and celebration, while the air was filled with the fragrance of flowers and incense. Adaku was dressed in a magnificent gown woven from gold threads, her hair adorned with precious jewelries. She looked radiant as she stood beside Prince Ifeanyi, who was equally regal in his royal attire. As they exchanged vows, they looked into each other's eyes, knowing that they had found true love, not because of who they were, but because of the connection they had discovered in each other's hearts. As the ceremony ended, the celebration continued long into the night. The villagers of both kingdoms kingdom mingled, danced, and feasted together. The jealousy and resentment that had once existed were replaced with joy and harmony. Oyiye, who had traveled with the prince's entourage to see Adaku's village so she could have more things to insult her with, stood in the crowd, feeling both regret and awe. She watched as Adaku was celebrated and respected, realizing that she had underestimated a woman she was mocked. Adaku, now Princess Adaku in her full glory, approached Oyiye with a kind smile. There is no need to feel ashamed, Oyiye. We all learn and grow from our mistakes. And as human, it is not good to always judge people because of what they look or because of what we hear about them. Rather, we should get to know them personally before passing any kind of judgment, Adaku advised. Oyiye nodded, tears in her eyes. Thank you, princess. You have a kind heart, she said, bowing her head in shame. The newlyweds walked hand in hand through the cheering crowd, knowing that this was just the beginning of their journey together. Their love had faced many trials, but he had emerged stronger and shining brighter than ever. While the celebration went on into days, Adaku never forgot Mama Nneka. She built her a befitting hut, hired laborers to work daily on her farm, and hired maids to tend to her every need. And together, they all lived happily ever after. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and leave a comment letting us know what you think about the story. Kindly subscribe if you are yet to do so. Up until next time, bye for now. Mwah.